we were robbed. And if you don't know what Ring by Spring is, look it up. It's a good time. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, but I'm here and we're back at it again with another video. Today I'm going to be answering some questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram account. So most of the questions were really good. I've taken some of the best and I'm going to answer them to the best of my ability. If you like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is... you know what to do. It is right here all day, every day. Anyway, let's get straight into the video. So the first question I got was, what was my favorite class that I've taken so far and why? So out of all the classes I've taken so far, there's been one that I have a love-hate relationship with, but I've learned the most from, and that was my Business 1350 class. The only reason why I would say it was my favorite class is because I learned the most from it, and as tedious as it was, I did feel the most satisfaction when I was able to get the puzzles right and like solve the equation. So for those who don't know, Business 1350 is a software for business class where you basically learn how to use Excel. You learn the mechanics and the functions and just like your basic knowledge about Excel. And so that's what I got to experience. It wasn't necessarily difficult for me. It was more tedious and just labor intensive, which my professor did warn in the beginning that I was going to have to put a lot of work into this, but who listens to that, right? Like, come on. I didn't get the grade I wanted in the class, but I did feel the most satisfaction from that class when I was able to get the questions right and follow the instructions that they gave me. I actually like put an effort into learning about the subject instead of just worrying about passing. But myself and others will tell you that it's going to be a pain. It's not easy, but you do get a lot out of it if you actually put an effort into the class and have a desire to learn how to use Excel. Like now I know how to use Excel a little bit more than when I did coming in, and it's actually pretty valuable information. So that is my favorite class. So the next question asks, what are some things that I wish I knew before moving day? So something that I want to preface is that I moved to Baylor in Texas from California. So I was an out-of-state student. And so that was a trip within itself. And so I think that I was not as smart with like figuring out the logistics of how to move everything that I wanted to bring from one place to another. And that's just me not having the experience of just like moving a huge load of things from one place to another. Like I've been in the same place my whole life. And so this was a big deal for me. I wish I watched more move-in videos. And I also wish I watched more videos on like what to bring and what's necessary to bring and what isn't. Because I thought I could go in and I know what I'm doing and like I don't need nobody's help. But it really came to bite me in the behind at the end of the day. And so like watching people who have that experience and then taking those videos and seeing what the common objects and things that they're bringing are and knowing that those are some things you need to bring. It's kind of the same thing at every college moving into a dorm. So like I wish I paid attention more to what people advised people to bring. I didn't listen. So I ended up bringing more than I needed to. I ended up making things a lot more complicated for myself, especially for people like me who haven't really moved at all in their life and don't know what that looks like. Pay attention to those videos. Also know that you don't have to bring your whole closet. I brought my whole closet and I barely wore half of those clothes. And then I continued to buy more clothes when I was living there, and that could have been extra space for like other things that I could have brought, or just not having to bring an extra luggage. Know that you probably will buy clothes when you're there. You'll probably go shopping. There's no need to bring it all. Also know that you can wait till you get there to buy more necessities. Like you don't have to bring things from your house that you could easily buy at a Walmart nearby your school. And so that saves extra space, that saves on weight and costs for traveling purposes. At the end of the day, think about what you think you'd be capable of bringing back with you at the end of the year. So always consider like what the end of the year is going to look like. everything you're gonna have to take back, and if you're gonna be able to take everything back. My school, they had a place in my dorm where I could donate stuff, which is nice, so just be mindful of that. So the next question is, how do I find friends that hold the same beliefs and values as me? I had a big experience with this coming into Baylor University, and so I think the number one thing that you can do before even like getting to any college at all is to find a college that aligns with your beliefs and values, and to really research on which colleges those are. I think that really helps to narrow down the type of friends and the type of people you'll be around, and it will make it easier to find people that hold those same beliefs and values as you. Baylor University is a Baptist Christian university, and so I think that really helps my situation a lot with finding new friends. I think going to Baylor University helped narrow that search down into finding the friends that I ended up with today. So make sure to research your school, make sure to find out what principles they uphold, what beliefs and values they have, and not only that, look for reviews or ask people who go there, like if they're legitimately upholding those standards and principles. The school can make themselves look like whatever they want on paper, including Baylor. Just ask people who go to that school and who have experience there if the values and beliefs are as true as to what the school is promoting out to the public. Now, once you get to that school, you want to make sure that you join clubs and organizations that align with your beliefs, that promote things or that uphold values that are important to you. Once you're there, you will find your group of people, hopefully, depending on how big or small the club or organization is, and you can make friends from there. Now, if you're a Christ follower like me, and I'm going to emphasize this on a lot of this video, but you need to find a church community. You need to find a church, number one, and you need to find a church community within that church. I think the most meaningful, genuine friendships I've ever made have come from my church community, and I can't stress enough how thankful I am for the church I go to. I feel like I'm part of a family there because it's been so amazing. I wouldn't be where I am today without that church community. Please insert yourself into a church community. It will really help you out. But I will share one secret, which I actually did before coming to Baylor University. And so I've shared this story before, but I'll share it again for people that are new. So basically what I did, okay, after I gained a whole bunch of followers after advertising myself on a Baylor 2024 page, so I basically went on organizations or people I'm influenced by, and I went on their Instagram accounts, and then I went to their mutual following. And basically what that means is I was able to find people that I followed, especially from Baylor, that I followed that followed those accounts as well. And so after I found all those people, I started to reach out to all of them. I think that was the best idea that I could ever come up with, and I made a lot of my friends that way, and overall I just met a lot of cool people that way as well. It's been easy sailing from there. Okay, so the next question is, how did I balance school and the school load with my relationship with God? And so this was actually a challenge that I had the entire year, especially as someone who newly dedicated themselves to God. Me, I really had to find that balance, and it was a challenge. It's still a challenge. So some things I would say about that is that you have to plan God into your schedule, and he has to be a priority. When you're scheduling your week, when you're scheduling your day, you have to schedule him in there, or else it's not really gonna work out long term. And yes, over time, once you start to get into the habit of things and it starts to become natural, then that's fine. But in those first few instances, especially being in college and especially balancing everything else while you're in college, you want to schedule him into your day. I would recommend something like you schedule him first thing in the morning and then the last thing at night, either or both. Being intentional is very, very, very important here. What I would do is that my church, oh my gosh, shout out to my church, man, but my church would hold different gatherings or events throughout the week. We had Jesus Hour every weekday at noon, or on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 a.m. And basically that was just an hour of just worshiping and just spending time with God. And it was a very small, intimate thing. and that was one of my favorite things to do. We had college night Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and we also had Sunday service. And so like knowing that that's going to be a part of your schedule and making that a habit to put in your schedule and going to those things naturally implements time with God and spending time with him. And so it's always important to be involved in that sense because it will then come naturally to you as well. And of course you're going to have days where you like don't get to accomplish all you want to. That's just life, especially in college when you have all this schoolwork, especially during finals or midterms where you don't get to spend as much time with God as you want to, and that's okay. Just be mindful of that as well, that it's okay if you don't spend like 24 hours in the day with him. He knows where your heart is, and he knows when you genuinely, want to get to know him and spend time with him. So the next question is, how did COVID affect my freshman experience? So I'm gonna tell you right now, COVID did a number on the class of 2024. And when I ask older students who have been here for a minute and have seen both sides of the coin, they do brutally admit that like we are missing out on a lot, and that there was always something to do and there was always something going on, and that the freshman traditions were like pretty dynamite. So it's a bit painful to hear that, and I hope that this next year coming up, which I'm pretty much sure that they're opening everything up on campus this next semester and this next year, that I will get to experience the things that I maybe missed out on. Knowing that was kind of painful, but at the end of the day, this year of my life has been better than all of my 4 years of high school combined still. And like, that's a fact, that's factual. And here's why that's the case. It's because at the end of the day, this situation and this pandemic and everything was out of our control. You could only control how you react to it, what you do in the meantime, and how to take control of your own life in the situation at hand. Because at the end of the day, life is what you make it. And so even though those things were taken away from us, I still had a bunch of fun. I made so many new friends, we did so many things, and we made memories and experiences even through the midst of all this stuff. And so like, if you sit around and like complain and wish you had things that you didn't, like events and experiences and traditions, you're gonna miss out on making memories that you could still make otherwise. I mean, if you really think about it, like my first YouTube video, which was being a freshman during the COVID-19 pandemic, wouldn't have happened if this thing didn't exist. And that was my first video, so I don't even know where my channel would be without this thing going around. Now, do I wish this thing was gone? All day, every day, you know me, at the end of the day. But like, I took my situation and I took control of it and I made it into something great and better and like useful. And I think that's why this year has been the best year of my entire life. So that was my experience this year. So the next question I got, which was in the form of a statement, I'm living in a dorm this fall and I have no idea what to bring. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I had no idea what to bring either. I brought my whole closet, as I've said. I brought things that I never used. I will give you a few of the things that I think helped me out and I think are essential and necessary, but I will say I plan on making my own very soon. But go watch those videos where they tell you what to bring, what not to bring, all these things, because those helped me out after the fact, but they helped me out still, and they'll help you out as well. But a few things that I think helped me out this year, or that I plan to bring next year, that I think are really important, are a power surge, desk lights, mattress covers, LED lights for the vibe, curtains, a shower caddy, flip-flops, command hooks for hanging up things like lights and pictures, an umbrella and rain boots for Texas specifically. Let me tell you guys about Texas, okay? That rain is never ending and that rain is brutal. And coming from California, I did not experience none of that rain over here, okay? And so I have never owned a pair of rain boots, but like, I'm definitely gonna bring them. Anyway, and the last thing is storage bins. So those are a few. I have a lot more and I plan on making a video about it soon, but like, definitely research and like find out the common things that people bring, and it will probably help you out a lot more than I can help you. So the next question I got, which is probably gonna be my favorite one to answer, was what was the best moment of my freshman year? So for best moments, I actually have 3, okay? Because let me tell you about this year, man, like best year ever. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So the first moment that will always be in my heart was actually my baptism. And so that happened within my second semester. And so when I found somewhere to get baptized and I got baptized, I knew it was the best decision I could ever make. And so when it was my turn to go, I was the first one. I was crying like a baby the entire service. Before the baptism, after the baptism, I was crying everywhere.
I already cried.
It was such a powerful moment, and it was such a powerful decision that I made. I felt so close to God in that moment that it really just hit me emotionally really hard, and spiritually as well. That was a moment for the books. My friends were there, my life group was there, and I got to watch a few of my other friends get baptized too, like throughout the week. It will have a special place in my heart for the rest of my life, and so that would be my number one thing. So the next best moment I have was actually at our senior send-off party that, again, our church held for the seniors who were graduating or just people who were stepping into the real world. And so it was actually held on the last college service of the year. Basically, in the lobby, we had a whole setup for like this party. We had music, we had snacks, we had a photo booth, and most importantly, we had a dance floor. And so I was on that dance floor all night, every day. And the reason why that day will forever be one of the best days of my life is because I was dancing, and when I dance, I don't care who's watching. And so you will find me the most in my element just in life when I'm dancing like an idiot in the middle of the floor. And so that's what I did. I'm not a good dancer or anything, but when I dance, it's a good time, so watch out. The second reason was because I was in a community of people just wanted to have fun, but we still loved God at the same time. Being able to be in celebration with people who love God and we're still able to have a fun time because yes, Christians can be fun too. And we're in a space where we can get creative, we can have fun, we can dance. So that was also an amazing experience. You don't get that very often unless you're within a church and in a church community, because at the end of the day, we can get creative. And so I think that was just the most fun I ever had. And so the last best moment that I had while I was at Baylor my first year was actually an event called FM 72. And let me tell y'all. So FM 72 stands for Fountain Mall 72 hours. And so basically what that means is that there's a prayer tent set up within Fountain Mall, which is the center of Baylor's campus, and it's open continuously for 72 hours where people can go in and receive prayer, can pray with people, can just spend time with God through the Bible or just worshiping. Any way to be intimate with God, you would do it in that tent. And so what would happen is we would have a main event at Baylor's McLean Stadium. We will worship, and we would have speakers like Jenny Allen, for example, came this year. A pastor from my church came to speak as well, which is actually my really good friend's father. So shout out to you, girl. And just be in community with basically the entire campus or whoever wanted to show up. And then after that, people would go to the tent and we would have a big worship night in there. But my favorite part of it was the prayer tent, hands down. And so I was in there every night that I wasn't working. I went in that tent and I just worshiped, I prayed, and just prayed with other people. That's where I felt the most protected and the most secured by God, and I felt the most intimate with him because I was just in this, it felt like a safe haven, to be honest. It felt like a safe haven. There were nights where I stayed till 3 or 4 in the morning. Actually, I don't think there was a night that I didn't stay that long. Yeah, so I would stay there all night, and it would mess up my sleep schedule for that week, but it was so worth it because that tent really did wonders. It really revived people, and people were moved in that tent, and so that was my favorite part of the entire thing. And every time I was there was this big section of the tent that was just filled with blankets and pillows and just cozy things. And so every time I went, I made a beeline straight for that section, and I sat there for hours. It was definitely the most heart-moving experience I ever felt, and I can't wait for them to bring it back next year. So the next question I have is, how's the dating scene? And so I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm the wrong one. I have nothing on that because I'm not in that, all right? It's a single girl summer, not hot girl summer, because I'm working, focusing on God, and that's what I'm here to do. One thing I will say is that when I first got to Baylor, I realized extremely quickly how legitimate Ring by Spring is. It's a real thing, not only at Baylor, but other Christian colleges as well. And if you don't know what Ring by Spring is, look it up. It's a good time. So the next question I have is, what is some advice that I would tell my pre-freshman self, or in this case, like any freshman coming in to college? I think the one piece of advice from my experience that I'll tell y'all is just like to take risks and to go all the way. Take leaps of faith that you never thought you'd take in your life. You don't want to leave your 4 years with a bunch of regrets of like, I should have, I could have, I would have. Because I think that's the worst feeling anyone could ever experience, especially when you can't get those 4 years back and do it all over again. I think college is the best place to do that because everyone's trying to figure themselves out. Everyone's trying to learn. Everyone's trying to grow. And you don't do that if you don't take risks and step out of your comfort zone. As somebody who loves to be comfortable and stay safe and stay in their comfort zone, I took risks that I never thought I would have. Looking back, those are some of the most significant stepping stones in my life. I think that college is the best and the safest place to take risks and make mistakes and fall and get back up again. I think there's a lot of grace within college where it's like you can make those mistakes, and if you fail, there's a good chance that you can get back up again. I think that college is definitely just an experience within itself that is unlike any other, and therefore you want to take advantage of that before you don't have it anymore. And just know that everyone's worried about themselves and what people are thinking of them, to where they're not really worried about what you're doing. They ain't worried about you, okay? So don't worry about it. Like, you're good, man. Think about like having to walk out of college and you know you could have done some things but you didn't, and now you have to live with that regret. Make that fear your motivator to like actually do those things. So that's the biggest advice I'd give. The next question I had was, what is the best on-campus tradition and how are the teachers? So we were robbed this freshman year of any campus tradition, so I can't give a clear evaluation on each one. However, I am looking the most forward to Christmas on 5th Street. And this happens specifically at Baylor University, where I think it's 5th Street that's lit up with Christmas decorations and lights. And so there are a bunch of little activities going on. I think we have guest performances sometimes, but I'm just looking forward to that so much. Christmas is my favorite holiday, and so I think Baylor will put on a pretty good show, and so I'm really looking forward to that this next year coming up. My experience with teachers have been pretty decent. I haven't had any significant problems with any of my teachers. However, I hear stories all the time, especially from my friends that are in the STEM field at our school, of like difficulty with teachers and all these things. And so the best thing I can tell you is to always, before you register for classes or sign up for your classes, to go on a website like Rate My Professor or something equivalent. I know with Baylor we have this website called BU Books, where you go to see a list of all or most of the professors that work on your campus. You get to see reviews from the students of like how that teacher is, their availability, their teaching style, and like all these things. So the students will rate them on those different aspects and will give like their review of how the teacher was for them during that year. And so I think that saved me a lot, and that is a really good insight into what you're walking into. So I would recommend doing that whenever you're going for registration and all that, so that you get the best experience academically possible. This person also asked what the best study spots are, and so I have a few favorites, especially when the sun is out, because everyone knows I love the sun. So those study spots are anywhere in the business building, the garden level of Moody Memorial Library outside, or right in the middle of Fountain Mall when the sun is out and you could people watch. So the last question I had was, how was the academic difficulty during a pandemic? So I'm gonna have a different answer than most people. And so while I think COVID did affect people's academic performance in a negative light, for me, I saw it as more of an advantage. I think the teachers I had were a lot more lenient with their due dates, and especially if you were in a situation where COVID was affecting you, whether you had the virus or you were contact traced and had to isolate in your dorm, they were very accommodating as to like you completing your assignments and like when you could complete them. They were very accommodating with that. So I saw it as an advantage, and I used it to my advantage, and it really helped me out. Of course, there are people who were affected negatively, and I do think it could take a toll. I used to think it was a cop-out that people use, but at the end of the day, like, it does take a toll on your academic performance for sure. So those are all the questions I am answering today. That was actually so fun, and this probably will be my favorite video made so far. I can't wait to do more of these, especially when I get back into college. They're gonna be so fun to make. And so if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, that's a wrap.